Vancouver Canucks beat the Toronto Maple Leafs. And when I say beat, that is a word that I use lightly, because the Toronto Maple Leafs were by far the better team tonight, except for one player. And that one player has consistently been the reason that the Vancouver Canucks have won games this season. And that player is Juho Lammikko. Just kidding. Of course, Thatcher Demko. Thatcher Demko, 51 saves tonight to hold off one of the best offensive teams in the NHL in the Toronto Maple Leafs, folks. A wild game. Breakdown's going to be a little quick tonight. And we're going to mainly rely on you guys. I want your thoughts, your opinions. There's a bunch of you in here already, so we're going to do that. And then we're going to wrap up right at 7:30. We've got a hard stop tonight. So let's break this one down. For the Vancouver Canucks, it's Thatcher Demko. For the Toronto Maple Leafs, it's Petr Mrazek at Rogers Arena. Shout out John Shorthouse getting to do the national call on a Toronto Maple Leafs game. That's crazy. Good for him. I think it's the third time he's ever done a call on a Maple Leafs game, if you exclude last year's bubble. So that's a plus. Good job. Good job, John Shorthouse. All right. Canucks, Leafs. First period, Canucks come out actually pretty good. They were the better team for the first few minutes. A bit of a bounce back after that rough start they put up against the New York Islanders. 89 seconds in, it's JT Miller in on a rush with Besser and Horvat. Horvat kind of clips the goalie, but I think he was outside the crease. JT Miller puts it in, opens the scoring. Canucks lead 1-0. And just a few minutes later, Brock Besser, 6 minutes in, makes it 2-0. Rebound goes up in the air off of his noggin, off of his beautiful flow, right down in front of him, and he bangs the puck in to make it 2-0. So the Canucks are playing ahead here. And if I'm a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, I'm a little nervous because, again, Toronto knows they're the better team in this matchup, but they also know that the goaltender they're going up against has the ability to absolutely steal games. So we go to the second period, Canucks up 2. Toronto dominates the second period. Just dominates the second period. I'm going to pull up natural stat trick here because I like to see the expected goals. The expected goals in the second period, 2.4 for Toronto, 0.77 for the Canucks. And I mean, that's kind of what happens if you do some rounding, but 75% expected to the Leafs. Shots in the second period were 24-7, and it results in 2 Maple Leafs goals. We have Austin Matthews getting his 32nd of the year. Crazy number at this point in the year. And then Andre Kasha, both on the power play, they tie this up at 2. So the Canucks are a bit nervous. Obviously, the Leafs are just coming storming back. They've clearly looked like the better team tonight, but the Canucks steal one late in the second period. Juho Lammikko, John Pond, our boy himself, gets one late to make it 3-2, and this ended up being the eventual game winner. We go to the third period, and the Canucks once again just in survival mode. They've got a 1-goal lead, and they are going to cling to it as if their lives depend on it. Late in the game, Toronto's trying to get on the board here, get one to go. Canucks go the other way with 45 seconds to go. JT Miller's a hair offside for the empty net goal. Horvat gets stopped with 28 seconds left. And then as time expires, Thatcher Demko sprawling to his right, makes a couple of clutch saves. Not his best saves of the night, but some of his most clutch. And that's the ball game. Again, wanted to keep this one kind of short, but man, the fact that Thatcher Demko can face 53 shots in a night. The Canucks record when they score 3 goals, they're like 18-2 or 18-3. And this game, and that record is because of Thatcher Demko. If the Canucks score 3 goals, they are not very likely to allow 3 in the other net. And Thatcher Demko is the reason for that. So here's my pluses and minuses. Shots in the third period, by the way, 17-6 in favor of Toronto, making the total shots 53 for the Toronto Maple Leafs and only 24 for the Vancouver Canucks, as they just, like I said, just held on for dear life thanks to their phenomenal goaltender. Here's my pluses. Thatcher Demko, and Thatcher Demko. Those are my 3 pluses for the night. He was absolutely unbeatable. He got beat twice, but 51 saves on 53 shots when his team absolutely needed him to be perfect, and he basically was. I don't know what else to say except the Vancouver Canucks have the best bargain goaltender contract in the NHL at this point. They're paying Thatcher Demko $5 million a year for this season and the next 4. That's absurd to be on such a steal like that. And sure, Jack Campbell's a good example of a great goalie contract right now as well, but his deal expires at the end of this year, even though he's been absolutely fantastic. Wasn't in net tonight. It was Mrazek. But man, Thatcher Demko is just on an absolute heater. And it's really the reason the Canucks are winning games. He's probably at like a 945 since Boudreau took over, something along those lines. It's absolutely crazy. Yeah, he just keeps on winning games. Other pluses in this one, JT Miller keeps scoring, gets the first of the night, almost had the empty netter. He's put a nice little campaign together. He's right around a point a game. I don't know if he's at a point a game. JT Miller, let's pull it up really quick. He is at over a point a game at this point of the season, on pace for about 84 points. So that's great for the Canucks. If they keep him, if they trade him, either way, it's great all around. Thatcher Demko or JT Miller being absolutely phenomenal. The Canucks beat the Leafs. That's always nice. Not going to complain about that. And I guess a plus is the Canucks had a lot of hits. Now, again, the reason the Canucks had almost double the hits of the Toronto Maple Leafs is because the Maple Leafs had about double the possession of the Vancouver Canucks. So it's kind of how that works. But 38 hits on the night. And Schenn and Burrows. Luke Schenn, he's got to be close to leading the league in hits at this point, because I think he sort of decided like, oh, I'm just going to start hitting people constantly. And that's what he's done. It's literally just all he's doing is throwing bodies. 7 hits tonight for Luke Schenn, 7 hits tonight for Kyle Burrows, officially on the score sheet as well. Every Canucks D-man with a block, most of them with 2. Either way, really solid from Luke Schenn and Kyle Burrows getting in the hit department. Minuses are the obvious ones. The Canucks were absolutely dominated. 53 shots against. I wonder if I could see like possession, like time of possession, like soccer does, where they do that percentage. I'd like to see that in this one. But either way, 53 shots to 24. The Canucks were outplayed on every level. Expected goals in this game, 67% to 33%. I think Money Puck does a deserve to win O-meter. I'm going to see if I can pull that up for this game. That can't. Okay, so in this game, it's loading, it's simulating, and it's leveling out around 82% for the Toronto Maple Leafs. After this game's been simulated a bunch of times, the Leafs win about 80% of the time. This is one of those times where Thatcher Demko was just unstoppable. Shot attempts in this game were 88 to 40. It's just a bunch of blocks for the Canucks is a big part of that. High danger scoring chances, 19 for the Toronto Maple Leafs, 5 for the Vancouver Canucks. Just every metric that you look at, it was domination in favor of Toronto, except the scoreboard. And that's where the Canucks come out ahead. The one place the Canucks come out ahead is total goals. And I mean, you take those if you're the Canucks. The other minus here is the penalty kill. Penalty kill goes 1 for 3 on the night. It's been on a bit of a better spot lately. But a pretty rough night for the penalty kill. It is up against Toronto, which I think is the best power play in the NHL. If I'm not mistaken, at least they're up there. I wonder what they are at. Let's see if I can pull that up. Team stats, sort by power play percentage. Yeah, Toronto Maple Leafs coming in almost a 30% clip on the power play. And they were fantastic again tonight. But if they couldn't get one to go past Demko at 5-on-5, and that is the difference maker. All right, let's go to your questions, your takes, your thoughts, as we typically do. What do we got here? Pulling up the comment machine, scrolling up to the top. Let's see here. Colton saying rename the Vezina Trophy after Demko. Sure, why not at this point? Dabnad, Demko lives, sleeps, and eats saves. Calvin saying Tyler Mott literally carrying this team with Demko. Yeah, Tyler Mott is so good. Draws the penalty late, saves the goal basically. Fantastic game. Tyler Mott's just so good. Lauren saying Dem Goat. Dabnat, I'm sure Demko's back hurts today. Rashid saying one of the best games I've ever seen. And I mean, if you're going by how the Canucks played, not necessarily, but if you're just talking entertainment value, you can't argue too much with that. A very entertaining game, to say the least. One that you are definitely invested in from start to finish. If you're a Leafs fan in here, obviously didn't go your way, but like I said, 80% of the time, 90% of the time, that game will go Toronto's way. Thatcher Demko is just so unreal. Colton saying game of the year so far. That might be fair. Again, I'm still biased to that Rangers game that I was at. Blitz saying Hamonic finally gets into a game and leaves us with more questions than we have answers. Once again. Yeah. How much time did Travis Hamonic play tonight? 18 and a half minutes. He had 3 shots on goal. Good job, Travis Hamonic. Debut saying, despite being heavily outshot, it was actually a very good game. Canucks chances were exciting when we broke out of the zone. Stole a point, maybe. Entertaining effort, absolutely. I think that's fair. Yeah. The Canucks did get outplayed, but at least they made it interesting. Cam saying, was watching Steve Dangle watch along on Sportsnet YouTube, and the stream was bad, and he left before he got his reaction. Oh, that sucks. Why does it feel so good to beat the Leafs? We get a lot of media coverage on the Leafs out here, and it can be frustrating. I think that's really the reason that most people in Vancouver aren't Leafs fans, is because we just have to sit through a bunch of Leafs coverage. And it's because Ontario is much bigger, and Toronto is a much bigger city than Vancouver is. And that's why they do it, because it is cheaper to air a bunch of Leafs content than make custom content for each location. And that's why it feels so good at times. Connor saying, is that a regular season save record for a Canucks goalie? I don't think so. Most saves Canucks goalie. Jacob Markstrom made 49 saves. Oh, that's most saves in a shutout. Yeah, I think there's one that's got to be higher. So no, I don't think that was the record. What else we got here? Aisha saying, imagine losing 2 straight games while outshooting your opponent 100-50. Is that actually the stat? Was that what the shots were in the first game in their game against Calgary the other night? Because that's got to be frustrating. That's rough. But again, I don't feel too bad. Toronto's going to the playoffs. The Canucks probably aren't. So they can, I don't know. I mean, I saw a lot of stuff from Steve Dangle 2 nights ago when they played Calgary, and a lot of how the Leafs, sure, they were out shooting the other Calgary, but they didn't look like a playoff team. And there's a lot of time left. And again, it's easy to get sucked into the Maple Leafs are a bad playoff team. They can't win a round and all this stuff. But eventually, you assemble a good enough team. Eventually, they'll get some wins in the playoffs. I think this Toronto team has the ability to make a bit of a run. The problem is you look at who they're going to face off in the first round. They're taking on either Tampa Bay or Florida, right? Toronto has really developed this team that has a high-flying offense that is really entertaining to watch. Honestly, I don't like the Maple Leafs. I love watching them play. I like their players. Matthews is so entertaining to watch. He's so skilled. Marner is an excellent playmaker. The problem is they just keep running into these hot teams, right? It was the Bruins a few years ago, and now they're going to have Tampa Bay, who is, back-to-back cup champs. They have Florida in their division, who's on the up and up. It's unfortunate, and it's going to be really interesting to see how they perform come playoff time. David is stoked. Professor Dogwood saying, really wished for a big scrap at the end. Leafs were crashing the net all night with late whistles. Hey, you know what? Canucks won that game. I think you take the high road. Thatcher Demko was so fantastic, and sure, they were crashing the net and all that stuff, and whatever. You can get frustrated about that, but you know what'll make them more mad is if you just hold your head high and be like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. We beat you, even though you were the better team by far. And I'm not saying they weren't. We got the W, and that's all that matters. We're out of here. See ya. Right? That's the approach that I would take, or I would take in the ideal world. Probably I'd be mad and frustrated and go after somebody. But I kind of like the take the high road approach. Dabnut saying, after every game, we have to tell the opponent Demko. That's sure. I think we can get something a little more catchy. Not going to lie. What else we got here? Eggum saying, if we're thinking of selling without fully blowing up, Shen, Burrows, Mott, and Miller could get back like 4 or 5 firsts. I think that's a little optimistic. I think you could get a couple if you're putting all 4 of them, together, and maybe if you're getting seconds or thirds and then using them to trade up. I mean, I know you're probably being a little bit facetious, which is fine. But yeah, Tyler Mott, I think, should fetch everything, and JT Miller is so good. So, I see where you're coming from. And yeah, Shannon Burrows, I know they're getting some talk, right? I mean, you talk about a Stanley Cup contender. I mean, Tampa Bay enjoyed having Luke Shen as a part of their team. Kyle Burrows, basically literally a rookie I think he's 26 years old, has come out and has been a very serviceable number 6 defenseman. If you're a Stanley Cup contending team and you have an injury to a defenseman in the playoffs, which happens all the time, right? Someone's going to get hurt on your playoff run. Having a guy like Kyle Burroughs might be something that these teams are looking at as a good piece to slot in if something like that happens. However, I like Kyle Burroughs. I don't know. He's a local boy. I might not want to see him leave, but also you got to get the most value as you can. Agam saying offside review makes no sense. Coach's challenge is there for a reason. Why do a team's job for them? I think if it's something like that, I think it's sort of an optional thing. I don't know. I think also it's the last minute. This isn't something I care about, to be honest. I'm totally okay with it just being an automatic review if it's close, right? I think the challenge thing's kind of dumb. I don't know. I feel like either drop the offside challenge to begin with and say, hey, this is not a thing anymore. If we don't call it offside, then it's not offside. Or I know putting a time limit's so arbitrary, but when it's that close, right? And that one, I think, I'm fine with them calling it offside. But there's so many goals that happen like 40 seconds after a play was like razor thin. It's like, that's not really the spirit of offside, right? It's to really catch a guy going way off. And those are a little iffy. Gus saying if Demko doesn't get Vezina votes, that thing is a scam. It's going to be tricky with the Canucks likely not being in a playoff spot at the end of the year. I think Demko probably gets some 4th or 5th place votes, maybe a couple thirds. I don't think he's winning it. There are other goalies that are having absolutely fantastic seasons. Ville Husso is excellent this year. Shesterkin is so good. Jacob Markstrom has 8 shutouts this year, right? There's so many goaltenders. I mean, Vasilevsky's still Vasilevsky. We can talk about how fantastic Demko is, but there's like 6 to 7 goalies that are playing as well as he is, if not better. The thing is that Demko is literally the reason this team is winning games, while these other teams have some other players to help them out. Lots to talk about Shorthouse because I mentioned him. Does anyone know how Maple Leafs fans reacted? I wasn't really on Twitter during this game. Because I know Leafs fans can be a little mad, like hearing like, oh, this is the Canucks guy. I'm going to be, he's probably biased and all that stuff. And I think if it was Cheech, I think they'd have a point. But how did Leafs fans react to Shorthouse? I'm kind of curious. BK saying, I love when a hockey game has my heartbeat high the whole time. It is stressful, but it is fun. That is very true. Mr. Fuzzy Wuzzy saying, OEL Elite. Sure. Why not? D-Train saying, we bent a lot, but some great goaltending, a really good start in the first period. Gutsy effort against a good team. I think that's fair. I would have liked to see a bit of the shots being a little closer, but hey, they did fight through it. JDAC saying, why is he John Pond again? Because if you translate his name from Finnish to English, that is literally what it is. Ryan saying we didn't deserve to win, but some definite pluses. Demko's easily one of the best goalies in the league. Another plus is Miller getting 2 points to boost his value again. Also, John Pond, baby. Fully agree. Gmod saying Matthews is great, but I just can't with the mustache. I do agree. I don't like the mustache. Ryan, being a nice guy, saying this message, I just want to give you some praise. I only found this account this season. Well, I've only been doing this since last season, so it's not like you've been missing too much. Quickly, my favorite place for Canucks content. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I'm glad to have you on board. Dabnet saying, I forgot to mention Thatcher Demko in the pluses because I need at least 6 of them. That is a fair point. Thank you for calling me out on that. Lauren saying, thoughts on OEL's game tonight, the last couple games in general. OEL has impressed me. His defensive play has been really good. I want to pull up his, The Athletic does these player cards. And again, it's analytic based. I know some people don't love that. But it's really funny looking at all of Ekman-Larsson's because his projected, which is, it's sort of a scoring metric, and his projected defense score was 5.4, which would be in the top like 30% of defensemen in the NHL, and his rating is actually a 21.2, so like 4x what his defensive output was expected to be, which is crazy. He has had a complete resurgence on the defensive end. Again, I don't love the contract because it's 6 more years after this, or 7 or whatever it is, but he has been very, very good defensively, and that's great. Lieb saying, how'd you feel about Travis Hamonic tonight? I wasn't too focused on him. I don't know. What were your guys' thoughts on Hamonic? I genuinely wasn't paying attention to Hamonic too much. Blitz saying Luke Shen is currently 12th in the league in hits, 142 hits in 33 games. Yeah, but I think his pace is picking up because he's getting like 7 to 10 hits a game right now. Casey saying, please take Brad Hunt off power play too. I agree. Power play needs a bit more life at times, for sure. What else we got? Rashid saying, I genuinely thought Burrows outclassed Hamonic tonight. Could be rust, but I don't know. I think rust is a very fair point. He's played, 4 games this year? Hamonic. How many games have you played this year, Travis? He's played 10? Really? Okay, he's played 10 games this year, but he hasn't played in a while. So again, it could be rust. But when I watched him play in Abbotsford, I really wasn't impressed with his game. I didn't like that contract from the start either. But yeah, it's pretty rough. BK saying, all we got to do is keep winning to make the playoffs. True and based. Great point, BK. Let's see here. Gus saying, thank goodness we want to live in Ontario. Couldn't be able to stand my friends tomorrow if we had lost. Yeah, if the Canucks had lost that game and they were double up in shots, they would have had some ammunition there. And they probably still do. But, hey, you can just say scoreboard. Scoreboard, baby. Let's see here. Adam saying Dominic Hasek once made 70 saves in 1994 in a 1-0 game against the Devils. That's so stupid. That's so dumb. That's crazy. Lauren saying, when is Hughes back? Next game, I think. But I'm not 100% on that. Professor Dogwood saying, Parker, I was told my whole life to take the high road. It stinks. If you scrap their all-stars after the net crash, they won't let her decrease. Okay, here's the thing. The thing about taking the high road is excellent when you're doing it as a dig, because you are showing at face value that you're taking the high road, but they know, and you know, that you're just being snarky and like, you just, you're not being cool about it. You know what I mean? I don't know how to word this. But I think, you sort of facetiously take the high road and be like, yeah, no, that's fine. We won. Hey, good game, guys. Good game. But in your heart, you're like, yeah, screw you guys. That's my opinion. Agam, Quadrilli's tweet was amazing. I saw this. Yeah, Canucks traded U11 and got 2 players better than him. They really did. They genuinely did. Juleson has been totally serviceable. Not great, but fine. He has gotten burned a few times. And Lamico has been a really solid 4th-line player. Yeah, I genuinely am very happy with them. Registrar saying, Leafs had 53 shots. Were there any D in front of him tonight? Not really. No. NHL Connect saying, why wasn't Garrett here? National game. They wouldn't put Garrett in for a national game against Toronto. They had to put, Shorty in, I guess, cause no one else was available. And maybe because of COVID reasons, because he was already in Vancouver or something like that. But they won't put him and Garrett because that would be too homery. And if I was a Leafs fan and John Garrett was on the call, I'd be mad because John Garrett's very, very one-sided, but we love him. But yeah, I think Shorty's definitely Shorty's professional enough that I'm pretty happy with it. Let's see here. Gonna pick a couple more. I do have to wrap up in 5 minutes here, folks. Let's see here. Young Dakota saying, I'm glad we won, but our defense sorely misses Quinn Hughes. Yeah, and I mean, any team would. Right? Let's say you went to Colorado and said, oh, we're taking Cale Makar away for a few days. Well, I guess they'd still have Gerard and a bunch of other guys. The Canucks don't have that, right? After Quinn Hughes, it is a drop to OEL and Myers, which they've played fine this year and made it less of a drop, but it is a drop. And that has been a big missing piece for the Canucks. NHL Canucks saying, where can we watch Abbey games? I think on AHL.tv, but you have to pay for it. It's on their website. Agam wants to show Abby some love. 21 goals in the last 3 games. That's crazy. Rathbone's a star. Yeah, he had that 5-point game. I think he's had points in the last couple of games as well. I love that. Honestly, I want him to play for the Canucks, and I want him to see ice time here. But I can't argue with him just racking up points in the American League. Like, that's great. So I'm totally fine with that. Fifth line center, I'm not reading your message, and I think you should delete it or knock on wood, knock on all the wood, because none of that negativity in here. Let's see here. Lauren saying thoughts on the Canucks being reportedly interested in Pavel Zacha. I have not heard that because I wasn't too active today. Although yeah, I guess he said that at the intermission. I don't usually listen to the intermissions, to be completely honest. He's a good player. He's 24, falls right into that age group that you'd like. He's an RFA. He's going to get a good raise this year. He makes 2.25. He's half a point a game. He was a little better last year, maybe a little bit on the decline. A few less goals, few less assists than last season, but I could see him being a really decent piece. If you're getting rid of like JT Miller, because I mean, you're talking about a guy who's going to be your 4th best center if Miller is still here. Which I imagine, they'd be moving on from somebody, cause it'd be Pettersson, Horvat, Miller, Zacha or Zaka. I really don't know how it's pronounced. But yeah, that is interesting. I'm not going to get too, involved in that until I do a bit more research there. Apparently Rathbone just scored. Nice. Professor Dogwood saying, why does CBC need to bend so far backwards for the Leafs? They already got their 4 p.m. start. Give us Cheech. Yeah, it's kind of fair. But again, I don't hate Craig Simpson. He's fine. And nice one, Dogwood. I think we're going to wrap up. I know it's a little early. I know it's one of our bigger, streams, typically a Leafs game, but thank you guys very much for joining me tonight. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, hit like, do all that good stuff. We'll be back. Canucks don't play till the 17th, I think. Is that right? They play the Sharks 17th at 7:30. This is basically their Olympic break the next 4 days. Then they are back on Thursday night. It's a late one, 7:30 p.m. I will be live right after that, probably 10:15 or so. So make sure you have your alarm set. Tomorrow night, Canucks After Dark. If you want to hear a podcast with Canuck Clay and I, where we talk about the Canucks and maybe we'll talk about those Pavel Zacha rumors or things like that. And we'll praise Thatcher Demko for an hour straight. That is Monday nights at 10 p.m. So make sure you subscribe to that. It is Valentine's Day. We're going to try to pull it off anyways, folks. We'll see what we can do. Yeah, I think that's good. Thank you to all my members. As always, if you're interested in joining as a member, there's a little join button down there. It's $3 a month if you're interested. Totally optional. So shout out to all of you guys. I do appreciate it. I hope you guys all have a lovely Friday night or Saturday night. I can't keep up with dates. I'm going to go to the city and celebrate this Vancouver Canucks win. And I will talk to you in the next one. See you later.